As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and I think it is so important for conservative, biblically based Christians to actually have conversations with people that we disagree with, because guess what? We may end up finding out that we have a lot more in common on some policy perspectives and some aspects of truth that you may otherwise not know. And so I've had a lot of conversations with people that are feminists, that are gay and lesbian and others who actually are exactly in the same perspective as me as far as the transgender woke agenda. And I find this really fascinating that we're finding a lot of overlap between traditional conservatives and, for example, some radical feminists that now are saying, well, wait a minute, we all agree that women should be protected and not discriminated against. And so we actually overlap in these areas. I find groups, for example, like Atheists for Pro-Life, that even though we completely have diametrically opposed opinions on faith and our belief system is very different, on the one policy issue of pro-life, we actually overlap and agree for a variety of the same reasons. So today I want to welcome a very special guest who is conservative, Republican, and openly gay and for gay marriage, but actually agrees with me on the transgender issue and the absolute bizarre, crazy stupidity of the woke agenda. So this is going to be really fascinating. Stick around right after this.
With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you.
All right, so joining me now is Mary Fay, and she is, of course, the Republican comptroller in Connecticut, and actually the most popular Republican, I am told, in the state of Connecticut. So congratulations, Mary, on that. And you've been in office since last year. And as I had set up this conversation, there are Republicans who differ on the social issues in terms of agreeing or disagreeing with things like gay marriage, with feminism, with a lot of the social issues in that way. And of course, I'm a biblically based Christian, and so I am pro-traditional marriage. You are pro-gay marriage, and yet in the realm of the transgender question. This is something where I'm finding it really fascinating that we actually have a lot in common, and I'm finding a lot of mutual ground and allies, if you will, with feminists, with the lesbian community, with people who understand that biology matters and protecting women as the 1964 Civil Rights Act originally I believe, suggested and held that sex is biologically determined.
Mhm.
Now we are seeing the rise of the transgender movement that's not only taking over women's sports, but it's actually trying to suggest that men can be better women. And I think
Mhm.
that's absurd. So you have a lot of thoughts on this. So overall, with our
Oh
audience,
my goodness.
yeah, just tell me your thoughts.
Wow. Wow. First of all, I am a unicorn. My friends say to me, I'm very conservative. I am a proud conservative Republican. And, my friends say to me, my gosh, you guys are the straightest gay family, gay couple we've ever seen. And I said, what do you mean by that? Well, you're so normal. You guys do everything we do. We go to work. I said, what do you think most of us do? So I just sort of want to take a backdrop with this. I consider myself first an American, second a child of my parents, which I was very blessed with. I should have said first a child of God. The rest of the identification comes afterwards. I'm a Republican because I'm a conservative, and I believe that our rights are being trampled on and our Constitution is being ignored. Now, how does this relate to sex? Well, and gender? We're confusing kids, first of all. I'm the proud parent of a 13-year-old, and I don't like what she's bringing home from school. I think this idea that LGB is comfortable with TQ plus whatever comes after is a misnomer. Most of us are family valued people. We believe in hard work. We believe in getting ahead by accomplishments. We believe in everything that my fellow Americans do. We're not asking for special rights, and we've already achieved our moment well, in my lifetime. So I don't know what's going on with this extremism. I don't agree with that. And I think children shouldn't be touched. And I believe, hey, I'll tell you right now, I was a high school athlete, basketball, softball, swimming, same in college, and well into my 40s, almost to 50. Girls can only compete with boys until they're about 11 or 12. Trust me, I did that. Try running around a field with a 13-year-old when you're 12 or 13. You can't. And the same for sports. I just think there's a fairness element that's completely being ignored. And I can't believe the feminists who start these women marches and start wearing their, pink hats, running around anti-male establishment, aren't standing up and saying something about this. It's outrageous. It's an assault against women. It's an assault against athletes. Male athletes should be ashamed of this. Can you imagine LeBron James going against Rebecca Lobo and girls basketball? Forget about it. It's insane. And we're making this argument so insensitive to women. And I'm ashamed of every woman, whether they're a Republican, Democrat, liberal, or conservative, aren't standing up for the rest of women who are treated unfairly. This is discrimination 101.
Yeah, really well said, Mary. And I think that anyone rational, regardless of party or viewpoint perspective on anything else, should fundamentally be able to agree on basic parameters of reality. And this is where it's so fascinating to me that we're even having this conversation almost as Republicans versus Democrats, or trying to silo this into the two-party system where I don't think that we can define ourselves cohesively as just Republican versus Democrat, because there are a lot of actually reasonable Democrats. And then there are some Republicans that I'm like, if you're embracing this kind of nonsense, that's not a party that I want to be a part of. And so you mentioned something really interesting as well, that the LGB are, so the lesbian, gay, bi part of this, the rainbow flag or the agenda, if I can describe it that way, are not in lockstep and are not okay with the transgender, queer, and et cetera, 47 genders. So how has that manifest itself when you have all of these advertisers that are suggesting that if you are lesbian, and you're pro-gay marriage, then necessarily you must be an advocate for the transgender movement as well, and they're your allies?
Yeah. So, Jenna, I would even go further back than that and make it even more basic. I think in this polarized world of politics that we live in right now, it's even framed worse than that and even more defined. You heard Joe Biden say, hey, if you ain't black and you're not voting for me, then you ain't black. I mean, come on, man. This is insane. And there's an automatic assumption that anybody who has been marginalized on the social spectrum, whether it's being gay, lesbian, black, Hispanic, Jewish, name a group. I'm Irish. I probably got 2 strikes, and I'm a woman, 3 strikes. But you can dwell on that, or you can assimilate and do better and learn from. Come on. My heritage is Irish, and we succeeded because we took the firemen and police officer jobs, which nobody wanted. Irish need not apply. 1898, when my grandparents came over. Well, they were successes. Not only did they join those forces, but my grandfather was head of the FBI, number 2 guy under Hoover. My mom's dad became superintendent, went to Harvard and became superintendent of Revere, Massachusetts schools. So you can, no matter how marginalized you are, and I resent the fact that we think that because you're born differently or you're born of a different color or a different ethnic heritage, you can't succeed. That's baloney. I've seen it with my heritage. I've seen it with my personal circumstance. I was counted out many times, many times. Can you imagine me running for office as, a councilwoman in West Hartford, the most far left town in the state, and as a gay Republican? Can you imagine? My friends stopped talking to me. All of a sudden I was persona non grata. But not only did I win, but I became, minority leader there. So you just got to keep pressing on, and you just got to come to the greater good for the greater amount of people. And it's about values. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and I think that you're really right to frame it that way, to say, this isn't just about one category that now these extremists, I won't even call them just leftists, because there are some people who are so-called conservatives that buy into this as well, which is terrible. But there's just this one category that now is so oppressed, yet we have an entire month of celebrating them. We have an entire, the whole entire corporate kingdom is suggesting that these people need to get preferential treatment. And if you are a man that just wants to identify as a woman, then hey, suddenly we have to bend over backwards and all respect your pronouns and pronoun hospitality and all of this. I don't see any sort of oppression. I mean, and even in
Jenna, I just have to say this. This is so important. There is no impression. Yes, in the early whatever. So I was born in 1961, and there's been great advances made, and a lifetime ago. And I think children coming out now is it's a non sequitur. It doesn't even matter. And it was really scary for me. And then we've advanced, but that doesn't mean it's. I don't know how to frame this in the right appropriate way, but this whole umbrella thing trying to take over this human rights issue. I have an issue with males and girls restrooms. I have a 13-year-old, and I have seen what can happen with that. And the whole sports issue with the girls, and they're from Connecticut, who are suing, and the Riley Gaines of the world. Good for them. They got to stand up. It's just about fairness. It's about fairness. Nobody should have a special advantage. We're not asking for that. I never did. Hard work, good ethics, standing up for your work product, being loyal to your, friends and family. That says a lot, and you can get far in this world. I don't believe you have to claim special privilege. I just don't.
Yeah. And I want to go back to something that you said in the very beginning as well, Mary, that you had said, you're not asking for special privileges. And I agree with that. I think that the whole equality and civil rights movement was trying to say you just can't be discriminated against on the basis of sex, for example, and you can't be discriminated against. It's not saying, therefore, now we have to have all of these policies in place to make sure that there's fair representation, or that Hollywood needs to make sure that, there's always a, blonde female lawyer like me in every single movie. I don't care, right? I don't need to see someone who looks and acts exactly like me or has my political viewpoint, my faith in every single area of life. Otherwise, I feel oppressed. I mean, that's ridiculous. So do you think, though, that, leading up to, for example, the Obergefell versus Hodges decision, that the Supreme Court then said, yes to gay marriage, if we had stopped there as a country, would that have then, I mean, would you have said, okay, now we have equality and we're fine, and this is all that your movement was asking for? Would you have considered that basically the win that was trying to be achieved and stop there?
For me personally, and I think the larger movement would be smarter to say yes, absolutely, positively, because that's the bar. That's what we were looking for. And yes, there was ways to circumvent the system where gay marriage was not legal. You could do all these other maneuvers to try to make it similar, with lawyers setting up estates and property, but it would have been a nightmare in children. So I think this was a very huge accomplishment, and I think one that the country also realized. So you have to have comment. You have to look at the greater good. The country realized it was time for this. There was more gay couples and people in their lives, like myself, and they were very much viewed upon as positive and good influences and stable and blah, 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 blah. It took a lot of that, but we got that. And I think that's far enough. I didn't like the rigmarole that you had to do through the system to make sure that your spouse got property, as an example, or, that your children were provided for. And now being married, that's established. So that's a very positive thing for everybody. But beyond that, that's all. And then, don't fire us because, we look different, or we may be at gay versus black versus white. That's not a reason for dismissing somebody. So I think we have our basic civil rights. There may be more to do. I don't know. And regarding the trans, I'm not anti-trans. Don't misunderstand me. I just think, pushing the ideology down to young children, the numbers show and speak for itself how it's accelerating, and I think that's a slippery slope. I've been watching and researching a lot about that because I do know trans folks, and I certainly accept them and embrace them. But I think the kids just need to be left alone.
Yeah, and a lot of people are drawing that line to say, okay, whatever adults want to do, then the government shouldn't compel them otherwise. And I think that's certainly we should be protecting the kids, period. And then the question is, okay, after 18 and above, how do we as a society actually deal with that? Because I would say openly that I'm anti-trans in the sense that I don't believe that it's possible for anyone to actually change their biology. And I'm also very anti a man, I don't care what his age is, coming into a women's restroom. That would make me uncomfortable, right? So this type of acceptance in society, I think we still run into problems if we say, and certainly I'm not against them, like I hate them as people, or I don't want them to get help that they may need, or, if and some of those more basic things. But I also do think that society has an obligation to not allow for people to choose harm. Like in the same way, and one of the most extreme examples might be why we still outlaw suicide, right? Because we don't want to say that an individual, we are condoning and permissive in society for self-harm. And so how does that relate to the trans agenda? I think we need to have those conversations.
I do too. And I think, the more you see, it's very controversial. Even folks who have transitioned, they're saying they wish they hadn't. They didn't realize how permanent it was. They didn't realize the psychological effects. I think there's a big, huge, gigantic conversation. And when you start having this with children, they don't understand that, changing from a boy to a girl is just like on Halloween, I'm going to be a scarecrow, or I'm going to be they don't understand the implications. Not only that, but they don't understand, perhaps someone even like you or me or other people that we know, because we like to run in the woods and jump over brooks, and they would have said, boy, maybe you're a boy. No, so I think we're taking so much liberty with infusing this ideology, and it's really harmful if you really, really pay attention and listen to folks who have transitioned. The other thing is look at the suicide rates. They don't decrease. We're not. So if that's the basic reason why we're doing this, because children are going to self-harm if they aren't allowed to change their, well, you can't change your gender or your sex. I agree with that. Your chromosomes are your chromosomes. You can have cosmetic surgery. You can have as much of that as you want, regardless of your sex or gender, but it doesn't change the basics. So what are we doing? We have to really take a step back and ask what we're doing, because
and that's really the question is, you know, what are we doing as a society? And I think, you know, even, you know, people who might be listening to this and go, aha, Jenna said she's anti-trans. It's like, well, yeah, because I'm pro-reality and I'm pro-biology and I'm pro everyone being able to interact in a moral and upright society in a way that is reasonable. And so,
yeah, you know, well, I'm 100% with you, because you know what I'm going to get thrown in my face right after this airs is that, oh, she's not really gay. She's a homophobe. She's anti-trans. She's anti this. She's anti that. I just say I am not anti anything, but let's be pro something. Let's be pro children's health. Let's be pro mental health. Let's be pro figuring this out. And if this is the ultimate decision that comes, then so be it. But I feel like it's like top down forcing it upon, as soon as a child has a look, adolescence is hard for anybody. I don't care who you are. And if you say it was simple, then you're not being truthful. And you question a lot of things, and you're questioning your relationships with everything in the world. And it's a very young age to be impressionable. Now, do I think acceptance of differences is good? Of course. Of course. But we got to be careful, because I don't know, I'll just give you, well, I can't give you the example because people know who I am. But the prevalence, and I just see the numbers of the kids, and I see stratospheric they are, and I just question why.
Well, and I think that that's so reasonable, Mary, because when we're talking about differences, we still then have to say, okay, let's define one thing and define the second thing, like man versus woman, so that we can say there is a difference. And where I see or even within, you know, heterosexuals versus homosexuals, that is a difference, and there's a clear distinction there. And so then when we say, okay, we understand that we are different, and how do we then figure out a society based on those differences and how we are different, or differences in faith, what makes me a Christian versus someone who is not a Christian, whether they are an atheist or a member of some other faith, we're going to have theological and doctrinal differences that are clearly defined. But where the transgender community, I think, is so insidious is that the agenda is trying actually to destroy any kind of differences. So we're not actually, nobody's different then from anybody else, because what makes a man different than a woman? They can't describe that.
Well,
so
when I saw our Supreme Court Justice nominee say that she could not define what a woman was because she wasn't a biologist, I just said we hit an all-time low in this country. How, you know, it's an adult human female, period. A man is an adult human male. I mean, it's not that hard. And then if you want to pretend that somebody, you know, can cross over, they can only do it cosmetically. They cannot do it genetically or biologically. So it wasn't a hard question. It wasn't a curveball. It just showed her ideology. And when people can't say what a woman is or what a man is, we're in deep, deep trouble, beyond spiritual, beyond God, just who we relate to, how we relate to each other.
Yeah. And how we know facts exist, and is truth knowable. And that, to me, is the ideological problem and the insidiousness of the woke religion, is that it's not just trying to protect, like what you have very, I think, well articulated was the goal of the gay and lesbian community, to say, you know, we need to be able to have privileges in the sense of just being able to have child custody issues, have a right of survivorship, have all of those things for a normal society. Those are concrete things that aren't privileges. They're just part of living in a society and having personal property rights, some of those things. And I'm actually of the opinion, I mean, if we took the definition of marriage out of it, if we had just said, that's left up to the church or however religion, different faiths want to define it. I'm a Christian. I believe that God ordained marriage between one man and one woman. But as a
Mhm.
civil society, I have no problem with one person designating another person, regardless of whether they're the same gender or different. And there's only two options, than to say, we have right of survivorship. We have to deal with child custody issues.
Yeah.
We have to, we do that even in the context of a man and a woman who aren't married and have a
Mhm.
child together. So we already do that.
Mhm.
And I don't have a problem with that at all. And I think that where we've kind of gotten off the rails here is that we have now tried to equate transgenderism and this philosophy that is so insidious to try to destroy reality, and to
Mhm.
say that if you are gay or lesbian, you have to, or even, me, then I'm a homophobe as well, because I don't agree with the transgender agenda, and try
Mhm.
to say that this is somehow equivalent to
Mm-mm.
what the civil rights movement of the LGB has been historically trying to do leading up to
Right.
2015. And I think you're very right to point out that distinction. So where do we go as a society from here, and
Yeah.
how can we collaborate more as conservatives? And and I see the Republican Party kind of going off the rails, saying we have to embrace the transgender movement because that's
No.
part of the overall philosophy, and that's just wrong.
Yeah. So, wow, that's a lot to unpack here. But here's a couple of things that we can do. There's a very, very big segment um, of LG, and I'll throw B in, who just live their life like everyday Americans. They go to work every day, they earn a living, they pay a lot of taxes, they own homes, they take care of dogs, they take care of kids, they have a spouse. That's the majority. That's the silent majority. That's who we are. And we're teachers and we're lawyers and we're business executives and we do all these great things. We're town councilors. But you're seeing all these people on the fringe, and they're the ones who make the noise. And that's what you're seeing. And a lot of us are saying, gosh, we just want equal rights, equal. All this other stuff and noise around here is giving me a headache. I'm not sure even where these people are going. So there's a real unified effort to distinguish between the issues, because when you pack everything into, look at the rainbow flag. It's very simple. Now it's got triangles and brown and black, and it's got tails on it. It's got my kid came home from school. Here's a perfect example. And she says to me, "Hey, mommy, look at this." And she showed me all these different flags they were all gay stuff or pansexual, whatever they were. They were all under that huge umbrella. And I laughed at it. And she said, "You don't even know which one's yours, do you?" And I said, "No, I didn't know I had my own." So my flag's the American flag. So
yes, well said.
There's a big group who are just, we're fighting to be included. We're fighting to, well, we're there already. So I don't want to declare victory. I'm sure there's some folks have to be, brought up behind us. But I feel like we've achieved a ton. And I saw it happen right before my eyes. And it's a great thing. But I think they're still conservative LGBs. They're still Republicans or LGBs. And it's not even about that. But one thing you were talking about, Jenna, which I really wanted to interject myself in here for a second. We categorize all these people, but the one group that I see that's really totally marginalized is conservative thinkers. And so it's okay to be, every color under the rainbow and all this stuff, as long as you agree with liberals. Once you separate yourself and you put yourself out as a conservative or independent thinker or doesn't drink the Kool-Aid or what have you, you're thrown out of that group. So there's a lot to unpack on this whole putting people in categories. And I think there's a lot of LGB folks who just want to live their lives. And I have sympathy for others always, any minority, but it's gotten so what's the word I'm looking for? It's gotten so crazy.
Ridiculous. Yeah, just
absurd. When I saw your picture of somebody in Disney Gate, with a beard and mustache and a Cinderella costume, I'm like, come on, these are 3-year-olds going in there. Why are we doing this? What's the point? Couldn't he get a
Right.
job at the English pub? I mean, he would have fit right in. So I just think we're pushing things on people, and if, I don't really feel like the LGBT movement. It was always about equal rights. It was never about special rights or anything beyond. And that was fine. It took a lot of years, but now we're going extreme and just forcing it on people. And the age is an issue. And Christianity is. I'm a Christian. I'm an Irish Catholic. And fortunately, my religion has continued to embrace me. So I feel really good. My churches, anyway. I feel really good about that. But we all have to choose our own path. But I think forcing these extreme views, whether they're liberal, I don't see too many extreme conservative views these days. But
Right.
it's got to stop. It's just got to stop. And we have to, I hate to segment, like every group does that, right? So you've got, I guess the nomenclature keeps changing, so I don't want to offend anybody, but we went from African Americans to Black to now, oh, I'm Jamaican. No, I'm they'll say their little slice, or Hispanic. Well, I'm Mexican. Well, I'm Spanish. So we're all doing that because I think each little group is looking for something different, and we don't all agree with that.
Right. And, and I think that's really well said, that there's a difference between wanting equal rights, basically not to be discriminated against, versus special privileges. And that's the same thing that I've seen on the feminist movement, because, I'm very glad that as a woman, I have a right to vote. I think that first and second wave feminism actually advanced good things to say that women shouldn't be treated as property in society, shouldn't have less privileges, shouldn't be able to, have ownership and some of those things. But then when you get to third wave feminism, it just went off the rails, because then it's saying, okay, women are somehow better than men, and women don't, need men, and women should always be better than men in certain ways, and women, and all of this, that then, women wanted to have certain quotas on, on different diversity boards and other things, where I'm thinking, okay, if I'm, I'm looking at my dad and my brothers and, now my nephews, and thinking, if they're the ones the most qualified for the job, I don't want some woman to get it just because she's a woman. That's not fair. Or now it's just because she, he says she's a woman. I mean, so we're totally off the rails. But I think that that's such a great dividing point to say that, if we are treating each other without discrimination in ways that historically and traditionally and morally are genuinely right, then we should be striving for that as a society, but we shouldn't go beyond that to give special privileges to anyone. And, and to your point as well of, people who are everyone chooses their own path. I mean, we all should at least agree on the basics of reality, and then we can debate the more abstract questions. And we all do have to determine for ourselves, who are we? Who is God? Is there a God? Some of these other existential questions, but we all should at least be able to agree, okay, I exist and I live in reality where, truth is knowable and we can observe empirical facts. I mean, that used to at least be the basics when we debated philosophy. But I could talk to you for so much longer, Marian.
I could talk to you forever. I just have to say, I just have to say one quick thing.
Sure.
And this will be extremely controversial, and I don't want it to be. But
that's okay. I'm controversial, so go for it.
Quotas don't work. I just think everything should go to the best athlete. Can you imagine if we took the NBA or the NFL or Major League Baseball and said, you've got whatever, 20 people on a team, 50% have to be white and 50% have to be Black. Can you imagine if we said that? Can you imagine if we said that out loud? Can you imagine if we inserted these mandates that are out there? But, because now I do feel that, look, I get no brownie points for being gay because I'm a conservative. So it goes against me. So, all these quotas put you in a box, A, B, C, D. But this is the absurd example that I'm painting. But can you imagine what that would cause and create? Because whites are 50% of the population. So, the NFL, NBA, well, we're not even whatever percent we are, but we should be that way. But that's what they're doing in every business job, educational job, administrative job. government job, board job. I just think it should go to the best athlete, regardless if they're purple, green, or yellow.
I agree with you. And, really now we're in a society that is discriminating against the older white male.
Oh my
And they
God.
are genuinely the marginalized of society.
Oh my God. And white females are right behind them, regardless of their, sexuality. If they're conservative, that doesn't even matter. Like I said, I feel like it holds against me. I would be a dream if I was a Democrat. I'd be on every board seat going, and I have the qualifications. But I'm a known conservative, and that kind of puts me in the penalty box.
Right. And so now we have these kind of, the metric and the different ways that we structure the diversity quota. And so, if you are gay, then you get so many points. But if you're conservative, now that actually works against you. So the net, it's still a net negative. And isn't that ridiculous if we are supposedly a society that is going for this alleged, equality and all of that? But this is why it's so absurd. And I don't believe anything that the left says, because the truth of the reality of how they are implementing their worldview into society is actually counterintuitive to what they're allegedly saying they're for. So it's absurd.
Yeah, and I will just wrap this up really. I could talk to you forever. I can't wait that we have more time.
I'll have to come visit in Connecticut, and we'll go out for a drink. It'll be fun.
Oh my gosh! Oh my God! We'll probably go to midnight at least. But you got to look at quantitative metrics too. So all these woke policies, whether it's in the stock market, we just got written up in Connecticut that our treasury scores are way below because we went into social investing instead of the ABC quantitative investing. So there's a lot of impacts to these policies that aren't helping anybody. They're hurting us. They're hurting our state pension funds. They're hurting the community. They're just not helping. And we have to wake up to reality, just like you said, Jenna.
Well, really well said. And Mary, thank you so much for having the boldness and the courageousness to come on and just speak the truth of reality, and especially from your vantage point. And I think that it's very important that we continue to have these conversations, and we don't marginalize ourselves by saying, well, because I have a few things different than you, then we can't talk about things we do agree on. And so I think this has been a really helpful conversation, and I hope that inspires more people to say, okay, here's what we do agree on, because I think that there are going to be more and more and more people that genuinely agree on the truth of the woke transgender movement being so extreme. We should be very loud about that. So thank you very much for your time today.
You got it. And I look forward to coming back, Jenna. Thanks for having me.
Sounds good, Mary. Thanks.
With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you.
Have you ever picked up a towel set because it felt so soft in the store, but then when you leave and you go to use it, it's not really that absorbent? It's basically a towel that is leaving you out to dry. That's why MyPillow has developed the MyPillow towels that actually work. I know, it's totally mind-blowing. Towels that actually dry you. Their 6-piece towel set includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. They come in a variety of colors. I have the sage green and the white. I love them. And right now you can receive a 6-piece set for only $39.98 with promo code Jenna. That's JENNA. So go to mypillow.com right now and click on the radio listeners special. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty and have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So to receive this amazing offer on the 6-piece towel set of MyPillow towels, just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener special, and enter promo code Jenna, that's JENNA, or call 1-800-564-8475. That's mypillow.com, promo code Jenna.